Sometimes I think about that sweater you don't wear anymore, the one that still smells faintly like your old apartment, or your ex's shampoo, or that winter you spent walking everywhere because you couldn't afford the bus. You keep it folded in the back of your drawer, not because you'll ever put it on again, but because if you let it go, something in you would vanish too, like a thread pulled from a sweater you didn't realize was still holding you together. And that's the thing no one tells you about nostalgia. It doesn't always feel warm. Sometimes it feels like a bruise you keep pressing with your thumb, not because you want to hurt yourself, but because you need to remember what it felt like when it first happened, before you learned how to brace for it. You don't miss the moment. You miss the version of you who lived inside it, the one who didn't know how it would end, who still believed in the after, who thought heartbreak was something that happened to other people, who trusted, quietly, stubbornly, that if they just kept showing up, things would eventually make sense. Someone once wrote in the comments, I think it was under the video about being scared of being ordinary, they said, "I don't miss my past, I miss the person who didn't know how heavy the future would get." And I've carried that line with me every week since. Not because it's poetic, but because it's true. And because I think you've felt that too. You scroll through photos sometimes, not to smile, but to grieve. You pause on that one where you're laughing with your head thrown back, and you don't even remember what the joke was. You just remember how light you felt, how unguarded, how unafraid of being seen. Now you rehearse your expressions in the mirror before you leave the house. You edit your texts 3 times before hitting send. You apologize constantly for existing too loudly, too quietly, too much, too little. Like you're apologizing for taking up space in a world that never gave you permission to begin with. And it's not that the past was better. It's that you were softer then, or maybe just less aware of how much could be taken from you. I remember sitting in my car one night last November, engine off, windows fogged, streetlights bleeding orange through the glass, when a song came on, one I hadn't heard in 7 years, and just like that, I was back in my college dorm, lying on the floor with my roommate, arguing about whether the lyrics were sad or hopeful. We didn't know then that she'd move across the country, that I'd lose my dad, that I'd spend years feeling like a ghost haunting my own life. All we knew was the song, the cheap wine, the way the radiator hissed like a secret. And for 3 minutes, I wasn't the person I am now. Tired, cautious, always bracing. I was the person I was then. Messy, hopeful, convinced that pain was temporary and joy was permanent. And when the song ended, it didn't feel like a gift. It felt like a theft. Like someone had opened a door to a room I could never enter again, and then locked it behind me. Many people say, I wish I could go back, but I don't think that's really what we want. We don't want to relive the moment. We want to borrow the innocence of the person who lived it. We want to believe again, even for 5 minutes, that things could turn out okay, that we weren't wrong for hoping, that our tenderness wasn't a liability. But here's the quiet truth I've been circling for months. Nostalgia doesn't hurt because you lost something. It hurts because you're still here, carrying all of it. The joy, the grief, the versions of yourself that didn't survive. And no one warned you that remembering would feel like holding a funeral for someone no one else remembers. Sometimes when the ache gets too loud, I write a note, not a letter, just a sentence, on a sticky note, tucked under my keyboard, stuck to the bathroom mirror. Things like, you were right to trust them. It wasn't your fault they left. You didn't have to earn rest. You were enough, even then. I don't do it to fix anything. I do it to say, I see you. I haven't forgotten you. You're still part of me. And maybe that's the only ritual that matters. Not trying to go back, but refusing to abandon who you were. Not to relive the past, but to honor the person who lived it, to whisper, you mattered, your joy mattered, Your hope mattered, even if it didn't last. Because here's the thing, that version of you, they're not gone. They're folded into you like layers of sediment, like pages in a book you've dog-eared and underlined. You carry them in the way you pause before answering, in the way you still hum that old song in the shower, in the way you flinch when someone says, "It'll all work out." You don't need to resurrect them. You just need to stop pretending they never existed. So if you're sitting there tonight, thumb hovering over a photo you know will make you ache, go ahead, look at it, let it hurt, let it remind you that you were real, that you felt things deeply, that you loved and lost and survived. That's not weakness, that's proof. And if the sadness comes, let it. Don't rush to fix it. Don't guilt yourself for dwelling. Sometimes the only way through is to sit with it, to let the memory wash over you like a tide, not to drown you, but to remind you, you're still here, you're still breathing, you're still capable of feeling. And that's not nothing, that's everything. I used to think nostalgia was about missing people, but it's not really. It's about missing the way you felt when you were with them, the safety, the ease, the unspoken understanding, the version of you that felt known, not fixed, not improved, just seen. Someone else wrote to me last week, just a short line in the comments. I don't miss her. I miss the person I was when she looked at me like I was magic. And God, that wrecked me, because it's not about the other person. It's about the reflection they held up. The one that showed you as someone worthy, someone soft, someone allowed to take up space. And now you look in the mirror and you don't recognize the eyes staring back. Now you wonder when you became so careful, so quiet, so small. I think about that a lot, how we shrink ourselves to fit into lives that don't fit us anymore. How we hold our breath around people who used to make us feel expansive. How we apologize for taking up room in a world that told us we were too much, and then punished us for becoming too little. Nostalgia isn't a backward glance, it's a mirror. It shows you who you were, and by contrast, who you've become. And that's why it stings. Not because the past was perfect, but because it reminds you of what you've learned to live without. Not because you want to go back, but because you miss the courage it took to be that version of yourself. I wonder if healing isn't about moving on, but about making room for all the versions of you to exist at once. The hopeful one, the broken one, the one who trusted too much, the one who shut down, the one who laughed too loud, the one who cried in parking lots. They're all still here, they're all still you. And maybe the work isn't to fix any of them. Maybe the work is just to stop pretending they're gone. So tonight, if you feel the pull of an old memory, don't fight it. Don't call it dwelling. Don't call it unproductive. Just let it sit with you. Let it whisper what it needs to say. Let it remind you that you've always been more than your worst day, more than your quietest year, more than the version of you that learned to hold your breath. You are still here. You are still becoming. You are still worthy, not in spite of your past, but because of it. And if no one has told you that today, I'm telling you now. I believe in you. Now believe in yourself.